Hi, I'm Beth and I'm with Caribu, and we're here today with Susie Jaramillo. She is the President and Chief Creative Officer of Encantos, a series that you can find in the Caribu app. And she is also the co-author of the Tiny Travelers books and the art director for all of the books. Today we're here to talk to her about her book, Mexico, the Tiny Travelers book, Mexico. Susie, do you want to show us the book?
Yes, it's called Mexico Treasure Quest because there's all kinds of treasures that you can find inside of this book that relate to Mexico. And I'm very excited to share it with you.
Well, welcome, Susie. We're really excited to have you and really excited to learn more about the book. One of the reasons we wanted to invite you is that it is Hispanic Heritage Month, and we are sharing with our readers some of our favorite books in our Caribu app that teach readers about Hispanic heritage, different countries where Spanish is spoken, different countries and places around the world that share Latina heritage. And so we wanted to highlight the Encantos books because they take travelers to special locations and teach them all about culture, lifestyles, and different people from those places. Before we continue, do you want to tell us a little bit about, are you from Hispanic heritage? Can you tell us about your family background?
Sure. So I would be considered, depending on how your point of view, Latinx, Latina, Hispana, Venezolana, all of the above. I am a Venezuelan Ecuadorian mix, also Irish and 100% American. So I was raised between Florida and Venezuela. I did live a bunch of years in Venezuela, but then I moved to New York when I was 17. So I'm also very much a New Yorker. And I've traveled to at least 8 Latin American countries. So I've been to a lot of Latin American countries, and I've been a student of culture, especially different Latin cultures, my whole life. So I have a deep appreciation of all the different Latin cultures. And the series of books, Tiny Travelers, was really designed to celebrate the peoples and the cultures of the world. It's a series of books created by my co-founder, Stephen Wolf. And Stephen has actually been to over 70 countries. And
Wow.
he's from República Dominicana, so also a Latino. And I'm going to, just to give you a taste, I'm going to reach over and grab some of the other titles. Oopa.
Wow. Look at all those books.
Like that, Tiny Travelers. India, China.
Wow.
Puerto Rico, and Mexico. However, it's actually very apropos to do Mexico today for Hispanic Heritage Month because the reason Hispanic Heritage Month is September 15th to October 15th is really because a lot of the independence days of different countries take place during that time period. So for example, the Mexican Independence Day is actually September 16th.
Wow.
So great reason to start with Mexico for our book.
So Susie, before we take a look at the book, do you want to share a little bit about how you became involved with illustration and creation of books?
Sure. So ever since I was a kid, I always loved to draw and I loved to paint. And so I decided to go to school for what I loved, right? So I went to school for art because I figured if I become really good at what I love, then I'll have a career in what I love. And that's the best kind of job to have, right?
Definitely.
So I studied art. It's a secret. Never be good at what you don't like to do because then you'll end up doing it for the rest of your life. It's a bad idea. Be good at what you love to do. Anyways, so I graduated from Pratt and I loved to draw and to paint and to tell stories. And I was able to create a company that specializes in telling the stories that I want to tell and that I want to illustrate. And so I have my business partner comes from República Dominicana, the Dominican Republic, and he was really frustrated that nobody knew where the Dominican Republic was. They didn't even understand that it was a country. So he was like, I would love to create a series of books that celebrate different countries of the world. And I'm from Venezuela, and I'm like, that's true. Nobody knows where Venezuela is either, honestly, in this country at least. Like a lot of people, or Ecuador, people are not just familiar with all of the countries of the world. It's like they know Paris, they know France, they know, maybe China or Great Britain, but there are so many countries in the world that don't really get celebrated. So that was the theory behind Tiny Travelers. We wanted to just develop a series of books that would introduce children to the cultures of the world for all of the reasons that we love. And we made it a treasure quest, right? So it's a search and find type of book because you get to find what we consider to be the treasures, like beautiful national treasures in each country. With that, I'll start with Mexico. It's also very apropos to start with Mexico because this is our very first book. We wanted to really do Mexico. And so here we have two little mariachi siblings, brother and sister.
Aww.
And so you don't see a lot of girl mariachis, but they're out there and they're amazing. So we wanted to put a girl and a boy. And in the back, you see the Day of the Dead flowers, the marigolds. In Espanol, I think it's cempasúchil. And then over here, you have our little alebrijes. Of course, alebrijes are all over the place in Mexico. And then in the back, you have our temple, our Aztec pyramid.
Okay, and you know what? I'm going to put the book up through Zoom. I can share the book using the Caribu app because Caribu has actually created a computer-based, web-based update to its app. So now readers can turn the pages of the book on their computer. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm going to pull up the book. Now you can see the book in the Caribu app. This is our new web-based version of Caribu, so you can open books on your computer and read them with relatives in a video call using your computer, not only from your phone or tablet. And if you're reading with a family member or a friend, you can go to read together. I'm just going to go to read by myself because we're reading, even though we're reading it together, we're reading it over Zoom right now. So here's the first page of the book, and we see a map of Mexico. And I just love the colorful symbols and landmarks that we can see all around the country. Do you want to share some of your favorite symbols that are on this page?
Sure. So this is just a collection of some of our favorite things about Mexico. From the music to the pageantry of Day of the Dead to, you know, our iconic angel that you can find in Mexico City, our jaguar. These are just, you know, really wonderful aspects of what make Mexico such a rich, beautiful country that we chose to celebrate in this book.
Great. Let's turn the page. And here we have, it looks like a picture of Mexico City right in the center of the city.
Correct. So, you know, what's really interesting about this is that, well, first of all, if you notice down below, all of these kids, a lot of them are wearing soccer shirts because soccer is a really big deal in Mexico. And usually when their national team wins, they all run to the center to celebrate. And then you notice the little boy in the middle, he's wearing a number 10. That's because that's one of the favorite players. And up top, we have our angel, our statue of an angel. And this statue is incredibly important in Mexico City. And what's really interesting is this whole entire statue is covered with 24 karat gold.
Wow, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how much it's worth.
A lot.
And in Spanish, we say el ángel?
That's correct. In Spanish, we say el ángel.
Wow. And it looks like she's the Greek goddess of victory. Interesting. It's interesting to realize there's a connection between ancient Greece and modern Mexico.
It is. You will find Greek mythology everywhere.
Wow. That's so interesting. I think it's amazing how sometimes when you travel around the world, you find ancient Greek or other cultures mixed in with indigenous cultures and more modern symbols.
I feel like ancient Greece just affected Europe so much that wherever Europeans went, along with them went Greek mythology.
All right, and here we have a plaza, and it looks like there's some mariachis playing. You want to tell us a little bit about how this might happen when you visit Mexico?
Sure. So, you know, in Mexico City, there's a plaza called El Plaza Garibaldi. And that's basically a plaza where just mariachis hang out, right? And so if you want to surprise your girlfriend or surprise your mother or surprise anybody at a family, you go to the Plaza Garibaldi and you hire mariachis. And then you bring them with you to the party and you show up as a surprise at the party. So this is an example of what that plaza would look like where mariachis hang out and just wait for people to come and say, okay, come with me. We're going to go entertain at a party.
Wow. And a plaza is like kind of like a square or a little park where people can spend time.
Yep, that's what a plaza is like. It's like it's like a square where people like go to hang out, to socialize, to see their friends. It's an outdoor space. A lot of times there's vendors selling things, and it's just a good vibe outside where people hang out.
Well, it seems like a good idea during coronavirus to be able to go somewhere where you can spread out and have some fresh air. So,
Right?
all right, let's turn to the next page. This is the one that makes me hungry. This is the page with all the
Hmm.
good food. Do you want to
So
share some of your favorite foods here?
totally. So my personal favorite food would definitely have to be Mexican. Like out of all the different foods of the world, I love Mexican food. So, I mean, here you've got your tacos, your churros, your tamales, your pozole. All of these foods are just so, so, so yummy. And I see some, enchiladas over onto the side. Our treasure here is the guacamole, and I'm sorry, the molcajete. The molcajete is this really heavy, like raw stone, I wouldn't call it a container. It's like this vessel where you mash up the avocado really well. And it's this big, heavy, iconic thing. And it's just, kind of a symbol of the culture, if you will.
Yep.
And, yeah, I'm very partial to guacamole. So all of the food on this table here looks really, really good.
It looks amazing. And I was going to say, I make guacamole a lot, and it is much harder to make it with a fork and spoon. Like, I would love to have one of these so I can just like pound it and mush it and
Totally. Just
make it
throw it
delicious.
down.
So, do you like your guacamole with vegetables inside, or do you like it smooth, kind of just the regular avocado?
Oh no, I make mine with red onion, with cilantro, with tomato, with
Mhm.
limes, and then sometimes a little bit of chipotle pepper.
Wow, that sounds great. I know some people have their preferences. Some people like it chunky, some people like it smooth. So I'm always curious to hear
Yeah,
what.
yeah. I like it with a little zest.
Okay. All right. Well, let's take a look at the next page.
Hmm.
Oh, wow. Here we have the Zocalo. This is a big plaza in the center of Mexico City. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it and about this parade that we see?
Sure. So the Zocalo is like in the center of Mexico, and there's a lot of street vendors in a Zocalo. Usually, if you go to the Zocalo, you can get everything from a cleaning where indigenous people will like clean out the bad spirits that are plaguing your life. You can buy some little alebrijes that they might be selling on the street. You can buy tchotchkes, or you can go. The Zocalo is a church, so you can actually go into the church and see the interior of the Zocalo as well. Once a year, they have the alebrijes parade.
Wow.
So basically, the different families and the artisans of the town, they create these huge, oversized alebrijes, and they parade them in front of the Zocalo. So this is a special thing that only happens once a year. And alebrijes are like these magical creatures that they're imaginary creatures that usually combine the different elements from different animals. And you make the creature usually out of like paper mache or wood. When they're oversized like this, they make them out of all kinds of materials. They're just a symbol of you know of Mexican popular folklore culture, and they're really cool to look at.
Now, I know you mentioned indigenous people and some of the rituals that they might do in the Zocalo. Do you feel that indigenous culture still plays a big role in Mexican
A
life or in Mexican art?
a huge role. So indigenous culture it has a huge role in Mexican life. It's mostly Aztec culture, although there are some Mayas as well.
Mhm.
And they're very proud of their roots, and it's just a very, very important part of Mexican pride.
Wow. I have been to Mexico and I've seen some of the ruins, and I think there's a few pictures of it on the pages ahead, but I actually haven't had the opportunity to learn that much about the past and to learn more about Aztec and Mayan culture. So that's an area
Mm-hmm.
where I would like to learn more.
Yep.
It's, next page, we've got some lucha libre.
Yep.
Look at these guys. We see wrestling in the United States as well. What's different between kind of some of the wrestling we see here in the USA with lucha libre? Like, it looks so different.
So the big thing is the masks, right? People here in the States don't really wear masks. Whereas in Mexico, I mean, the luchadores, they all wear a mask and you never take the mask off.
Oh.
So you never know exactly who these people are. And, you know, El Santo, who was like the most famous Mexican wrestler ever, he was buried with his mask on. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And I have a book, a coffee table book that's dedicated to him. And it's like only him with his mask on. It's like him eating dinner with his wife and kids with his mask on.
Oh my goodness.
Him doing all these casual things, taking the laundry with his mask on.
Wow.
You know, so, and then the other thing, a couple interesting things about Mexican lucha libre. You have the técnicos and the rudos. The técnicos are really, really skilled and they do all these cool moves and they fly through the air and they have all these really cool wrestling moves. Whereas the rudos, they just cheat. They don't fight fair, you know. They pinch, they scratch, they pull all these dirty moves, right? And so there's always like the villains, the rulos that everyone loves to hate, and the técnicos, that the ones that everyone, you know, cheers for. And so it makes all the fights way more dramatic, right?
Wow. And so do they get in trouble for breaking the rules, or is that just part of the game?
It's part of the show. It's all part of the show. And you know, in Mexico, like there's the whole lucha libre appeal. It goes from very young to very old. There'll be like abuelitas that are like, okay, we're gonna go see the fight. You know, it has a wide range.
Wow, it looks like a lot of fun. And is it on television as well, or only live?
Absolutely, it's televised as well.
Wow. Well, I'll have to catch one of those matches soon. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Our next page, we're going to Sochimilco, which looks like a place near Mexico City where you can go on these beautiful boats. Have you had a chance to go there? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
I have. So the original Sochimilco boats were covered with real flowers everywhere.
Wow.
And this was a place where you could go, you still can go, and you take a flower boat and you spend the afternoon on the river with your family, and other boats come by and they'll sell you different things they can send. They'll sell you flowers, they'll sell you food, they'll sell you drinks, they'll sell you all different kinds of things, and you just hang out and you spend like the afternoon on the river with these boats made out of flowers. Nowadays, the boats are less made out of flowers and they're more like painted flowers.
Okay.
But in homage to the way the boats used to be, and in homage of like the special flower boats, we made this boat a flower boat.
Wow.
But
it's really beautiful and it looks like a lot of fun. I hope that I haven't done that in Mexico, so I hope next time I go I'll have a chance to do that.
Totally. And what's really interesting about go back one more really interesting fun fact. A really interesting fun fact about Xochimilco is this little ajolote creature that you see down here. He's the treasure.
Ooh.
So he looks like the little pink ajolote. You see him? He's
oh yeah! Oh my gosh, he's so cute.
Yeah. So he looks like he's something from a fairy book, but he actually really does exist, and he has these arms and these legs. And if he loses an arm or a leg, it'll grow back.
Wow.
And he's this super unique character, like creature. He's kind of like a salamander, but not really. He only thrives in the waters of Xochimilco. That's the only place you can find him, and he's very much an endangered species.
How do you pronounce the name of the animal again?
Ajolote.
Ajolote. Wow. I have to learn about that. I'm so fascinated, and I just love it. You know, like a tree. It sounds like if you take off one of the limbs, it just grows back.
It just grows back. That's right.
Very magical.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And here we are going out of Mexico City to a different part of Mexico, to Michoacan. And it looks like El Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. Can you tell us a little bit about what we are seeing in this picture?
Sure. So I had the good fortune to go to Michoacan with our country guide, Magali McDonald Reyes, who is actually from Michoacan. So Day of the Dead celebrations originated in Michoacan, right? And so once a year, families pay honor to their dead, and they do so with pictures and with candles and flowers strung up in different ways, and they make altars, and they put their relatives' favorite foods and their favorite drinks, and they really spend all of the night remembering them and partying with them and celebrating with them, right? And so this figure of La Catrina, she has become like iconic and associated with the Day of the Dead. And she's something that happened much later. And she was invented by Jose Posada. And the reason he created La Catrina was really to make fun of those Mexican women who looked down on their indigenous roots and were like, oh no, I'm from Spain. I'm all about Europe and Spain, right? And so he made fun of those women by creating this Catrina figure. So today, she's really seen as a symbol of death and as like, uh-oh, be careful, La Catrina's coming, you know? So you see more and more portrayals of her around the Day of the Dead. And so we've put her here in this Day of the Dead celebration.
Wow. Yeah. And around the United States too, I've noticed there are more and more Day of the Dead celebrations and commemorations. I used to live in San Francisco where we have a huge Day of the Dead as well. So I'm sure many of our readers can relate to this. It's very special.
We're going to do a Day of the Dead altar in my house, just so that we can celebrate. So I've lost both of my parents now. And it's a way that the children can remember and connect with their grandparents.
Wow. It's super special and very beautiful. And now we're going on another journey. Now we're going to Chiapas, which is a little deeper into Mexico, down the peninsula. And it looks like we're in the jungle.
That's right. We are in Yaxchilan in Chiapas, and you will find a lot of really wonderful rainforest animals here. And you can also go exploring and find ruins. So the ruins in Yaxchilan are actually from the Mayan culture. They used to inhabit this. But if you look at the animals, there are animals that you wouldn't necessarily find here in the United States, right? So the cacomixtil, the quetzal, the tapir, all of the howler monkey, all of these creatures are endemic to Mexico, and you will not find them in the United States.
Wow, the tapir is like really cute also, his face and his little nose.
He is.
And the howler monkey. I'm sure I would be scared if I saw a howler monkey, but here he looks really cute.
He's actually not that scary. He's like, the howler monkey is probably one of the most popular monkeys throughout the rainforests of Latin America.
And it looks like the jaguar is kind of harder to find.
The jaguar is our treasure, and he's one of the iconic animals of Mexico.
Wow, very sweet. Nice. I would love to go and find some of these creatures. They just look so colorful and different. All right, and now we're going to some Aztec ruins, and I think they're Aztec ruins in Teotihuacan.
So everybody thinks they're Aztec ruins, but the truth is the Aztecs found them.
Oh.
They were built already when the Aztecs found them.
Wow.
So nobody knows who built these pyramids, which is fascinating, of course. So there's all kinds of theories.
Wow.
But yeah, this is truly, it's one of the wonders of the world, and it's truly one of the mysteries of the world. Who built the temples? The temples of Teotihuacan. Nobody really knows. We do know that the Aztecs found them and they used them, and that there were sacrifices made here, and that they used them for religious purposes, but they didn't build them. So this is just an interesting fun fact. When I was at the temples recently, I did go up in one of these air balloons, and so there's a lot of air balloon flying around the temples of Teotihuacan. This is an example of that. And then the flying over in the corner here, you see our royal eagle, which is the national bird of Mexico. And I don't know if you've ever noticed that in the Mexican flag, you see an eagle with a snake. And legend has it that when the Aztecs were looking for where they could, build their city, they saw an eagle fly to like the middle of a lake, or like, and it landed like on something in the lake, and it had a big snake in its mouth. And they were like, okay, that's where we're going to build. So they filled up the lake and they built Teotihuacan. They built the city. And today, Mexico City is kind of sinking a little bit. And part of it's because they built on that land that was moist.
Wow.
Right? So the eagle has a lot of roots in the mythology in Mexico.
Yeah, I've seen the flag, and I've often wondered, and I know it's a symbol in the United States too, but it's interesting to hear how the two symbols really represent different ideas. All right, so here we are on the last page. It looks like it's a postcard or letter. And I noticed that all the symbols are now in the shape of stamps. And yeah, I wanted to learn a little bit more about why you decided to create them with stamps and to learn, why you chose these symbols and so that readers could go on this journey.
Yeah. So we just really wanted to give children a reason to go back and make sure that they found everything. And then they can go back and make sure they find the dog in every single spread, right? So the dog is a hairless dog. He's a cholo squinchy, or otherwise for short, you can call him a cholo. So the cholo dog, if you're allergic to dog hair, that's the kind of dog you get. And he is unique to Mexico. So there's one on every single spread. So you can now go back and find the dog on every spread.
That is so cute, and I've never heard of this dog, and I just love its long name. Cholo, it's Quincy?
Yep, Cholo Squinchy.
Cholo is Quincy. Wow, It's really sweet, and I have allergies, so I would love a hairless dog like that.
There you go.
I'm very tempted to go back and find all the pictures of them too. Now we're at the end of the book, and we just have a final world map. And this is really valuable because I think, as you were saying, so many readers are not so familiar with different countries and parts of the world. And I really like how this shows where Mexico is. Do you want to, share some other thoughts about the world map, about something special about this map?
Yeah, so we wanted to really help, educate around the continents, and really, a lot of people, they think that Mexico is in South America. It's really not. It's in North America. Go figure, right? So we wanted to call out where Mexico was on the map and call it out in the context of all these other continents. And if you want to find more out about Mexico and do some activities related to Mexico, you can go to our tinytravelers.com website and go to our learning hub. And we've got all sorts of cool activities related to Mexico on our learning hub. So you can find coloring sheets and drink recipes, and just fun things for kids to do on our learning hub.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to stop our screen share so we can just have a few final comments and questions together. And yeah, as we close, I wanted to ask you, do you have any final thoughts about Mexico, something that is very special that you really like about it, or something you want to share with our readers?
No, my favorite thing at the end of the day about Mexico are the people. The people are just so warm and so lovely, and they have really, really big hearts, and they laugh really loud, and they feel things very deeply, and they're just so generous of spirit. So that is something to really love about Mexico and Mexican culture. And so I encourage everybody, read the book and then go visit the country because it's amazing.
And yeah, just again, with some final thoughts, again, it's Hispanic Heritage Month. Do you have any other final thoughts for our readers about celebrating Hispanic heritage or learning about Hispanic heritage?
I would say that the Hispanic culture or Latino culture is comprised by so many wonderful different countries. It's really worth it to take the time to get to know each one of them, and know that Venezuelans, Argentinians, Cubans, whatever, we're all so proud of our culture, and we're so proud of who we are and what we have in common and what brings us together. And that's, at the end of the day, at the heart of Hispanic Heritage Month, is that we come from all of these different Spanish-speaking countries, but there's also a commonality among these countries that really binds us, especially when we're in this country. And so for us, it's really important to celebrate this month and celebrate our cultures. So please enjoy it with Tiny Travelers Mexico or Tiny Travelers Puerto Rico, or the Canticos books, or any of the wonderful books out there that celebrate Latino culture. It's important.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And for all of our readers who would like to read the Encantos books and some of the Canticos books, you can find many of them in the Caribu app. They're located in our Hispanic Heritage section. Some of them are in our Spanish language section. And some of them are also in different grade levels and subject areas, because we do list according to grade level, subject area, ages. So I hope that you can find the books, and definitely Please continue celebrating Hispanic heritage with us. We're highlighting different authors throughout the month, and we're really excited to share this book and to share your story, as well as all the beautiful symbols and art that you explained to us today as well. So thanks so much, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.